In this week's episode of Gangsta, the city of Ergastelum is about to become a bloodbath because the Esminets are in town, and they're hungry, and luckily for them, on the menu are fresh Twilights. The build-up in this week's episode was excruciating, but I really think it's going to be worth it. This week's episode was the calm before the storm. Another big battle is about to take place in the city of Ergastelum, and that's because the Esminets have arrived, otherwise known as the Destroyers, who is this group of, I'm assuming, normal humans who are working under the Corsicans to hunt down and kill all of the Twilights. They really don't make their big introduction until the end of this week's episode. It's really just a build-up to them finally starting to attack the Twilights, because the first half of the episode is basically all recovery time. Recovering from the battle at Bastard, which is that club which is currently being rebuilt, by the way. It's going to be open the next day, ready for business so that it can be a safe haven for all of the Twilights, as well as establishing a home base for the Cristiano family. Not only that, but you can definitely feel that there's just something in the air in this week's episode. Shit is about to go down. Monroe's about to be killed. Warwick notices this one Esminets guy walking around town that he can't recall, and that's because he has this special ability where he can pretty much memorize anything. It's on like a superhuman level. He can basically look at a book, look at one page, boom, he's done with it. He's had this ability since he was a child, so I can't wait to see how this is going to come into play later on, and it also explains why they don't work with like one specific family that rules the city of Ergastelum, because if he does, he's going to know all of their secrets, and if he moves on to work with another family, he's going to know everything that went down with them, so no one would dare work with this guy. Not only that, but you have Nicholas who's getting ready for battle, and then the Esminets finally arrive. There's this one scene where Doug is being escorted by two of his guards. We get to see more of their group, by the way, this week, the Palkley Guild. They all seem to have really cool names, and they all have their own distinctive designs. I'm sure we'll see more of these guys later. But as they're making their way through the city, they're ambushed by this one female member of the Esminets, who frankly is just insane looking. She has an eye patch, she has this playful, cruel, and sadistic personality, and she just completely murders these guys, cutting off their arms and slicing and dicing both of them with her massive battle axe. She seems like she's going to be a really fun character, and her and Doug are getting ready to have a big battle, and before you know it, the episode is over. What's really cool about this week's episode, though, is just the build-up to seeing these guys, because as I assume, they're probably just normal humans, but they seem to have some really crazy abilities, and they all seem to have, like, their own special, like, personalities and weapons, like that one Esminets who is actually walking past Warwick. He seems to have these, like, double tonfas on his back, which actually took the form of a cross. That, combined with his overall crazy-ass-looking personality, looks really insane. If anything, they just look really cool. The only thing is, Emilio Benedetto, who is the brother of Alex, seems like he's the most vanilla member of the group without a doubt, but I really cannot wait to see what he's going to be capable of and how that's going to tie into this story, which is definitely building up to something really awesome. So I hope the next couple episodes are going to up the ante in terms of the action and, of course, the animation. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Gangsta? Recovery time, calm before the storm, the Esminets coming to town to start wrecking some shit. That's what this week's episode is all about, and I really love the build-up to it, especially that first reveal shot of the entire Esminets group hanging out on the rooftops. You can just tell these guys are badass. They're basically like the Akatsuki, or the Ginyu Force of Gangster, if you will. These group of badasses who are renowned for their special abilities, but are also still slightly mysterious, and when they appear, you just know that shit's about to go down. Otherwise, this week's episode also just happened to have some other nice little slow moments, mostly in the first half of the episode. Again, Dr. Theo. The guy is a doctor of gold. He will go out of his way to help out any Twilight that he can, and because of that, he has a lot of pull. That's how he's able to basically treat Nicholas like crap and beat him over the head all of the time and stick his needles in his ass. Saying it out loud like that sounded really weird, but he also always has to basically wrestle Nicholas to the ground in order to give him his medication. But like I said, he's a doctor of gold. He'll even try and help out the children in any way he can. So he's a pretty interesting character, to say the least. And then, of course, we have Alex this week, who's basically just continuing to be there in the background and basically be like the personification of the viewer of the show. She knows about as much as the viewers, and because of that, we're sort of along for the ride with her. I also really like the fact that we're hanging out with some more of the side characters in the series, like the Cristiano family. Marco and Galahad are really great characters. They play off each other really well, and I really like the conversation that Galahad actually had with Dr. Theo this week. It was just some really well, nice written stuff that made me appreciate these characters a bit more. And of course, learning that Marco seems to be in a relationship with Connie. She happens to have him by the balls with a wedding ring, which I think is actually kind of funny. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The reason to check out this week's episode is to see the introduction of the Esminets and to see them tearing up some shit at the end, which is going to be a build-up to an amazing battle, or at least I can hope it's going to be amazing. I am really excited to see what they're going to do with this because we're getting closer and closer to the climax of the series. At least that's what I've been told by people. I'm not really sure how long this series is going to be, if they're going to try and come up with their own original ending, or if they're going to cut this into like 2 different seasons, but I really can't wait to see what they're going to do with it. So let's just get excited. What I will say is this week's episode right here was pretty entertaining. It was a nice build-up to the reveal of the Esminets, or the Destroyers, and if you're a fan of the manga version, or you've been watching just the anime version of Gangsta, you gotta check out this week's episode. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really good episode, a little slow in some parts, and the animation and artwork could have looked better. Despite that, I thought the introduction of the Esminets was awesome, and I can't wait to see more of really what they're capable of and who they really are. So there it is, guys. Check it out. Before you leave, though, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Gangsta. You can tell me in the comment section below. Do you have a favorite member from the group? What did you think of the introduction of that one axe-wielding girl at the end? And what's the deal with Emilio? What's his special ability going to be? Please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all our latest anime and manga reviews and our weekly podcast show. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.